Do you ever ask yourself why your relationships just never seem to work out? Why they always leave you feeling unfulfilled? Well, here's a hard truth. It might not be the person you chose. It's more likely the attachment style you didn't even know you were using. Let's talk about Jason. He's 34, great job, genuinely a good guy. But every time a relationship gets serious, it ends the exact same way. He starts to feel trapped, suffocated, and eventually he pulls the plug. For years, he blamed his partners, saying they were too needy or demanding, until he finally noticed he was the common denominator. The pattern was him. So he dug a little deeper. Jason grew up in a home where his mother was emotionally distant, often unavailable. As a child, his brain unconsciously learned a painful lesson. If someone gets too close, it's a threat. So now, as an adult, whenever a relationship gets real and intimate, his internal alarm bells go off and he pulls away. It was never about his partners. It was about his attachment style, the avoidant dismissive kind. Now, let's consider Mia. She's 29, a high achiever with a vibrant social life. But in her romantic relationships, she's constantly stuck in a cycle of anxiety. She's always the one texting first, chasing that feeling of closeness, and living in constant fear of being abandoned. After every breakup, she's left wondering, but I gave so much. What went wrong? What Mia didn't realize was that her anxious attachment style was driving her to overgive and overreact. She was so terrified of being left that she would cling tighter, which, ironically, is often the very thing that pushes people away. The energy felt intense, sometimes even desperate, to her partners. Research actually backs this up. Studies show that adults with an anxious attachment style deeply crave emotional intimacy, but are plagued by the worry that others don't really want to be with them. This creates a constant state of uncertainty and fear in their relationships. So, what happens when an anxious person like Mia gets into a relationship with an avoidant person like Jason? It becomes a painful dance of push and pull. One person longs for closeness, while the other instinctively retreats from it. It's a cycle of frustration, misunderstanding, and heartbreak. There are 4 main attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. If you find yourself stuck in one of the insecure styles, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized, you're likely repeating the same painful patterns over and over again. Today, we're going to uncover the 3 hidden attachment traps that are ruining your relationships and, more importantly, how you can finally escape them. The first truth you need to understand is this: you're repeating your childhood wiring. The very first bonds you form with your parents or primary caregivers taught your nervous system what to expect from love. If you felt unsafe, unseen, or unheard in those early relationships, your nervous system went into protection mode. It created a strategy to keep you safe, and that same wiring follows you into your adult dating life. So, take a moment and ask yourself honestly, what did I learn about love when I was a child? If the lesson was, people always leave, or I have to handle everything on my own, or my needs don't matter, then your adult love life is probably built on a foundation of that exact fear. You're not choosing the wrong partners. You're subconsciously recreating the emotional environment you grew up in because it feels familiar, even if it's painful. Now for the second and most hopeful truth. Your attachment style is not your destiny. It's a pattern, and patterns can be rewritten. Many people think they're just bad at relationships, but that's not true. You're just operating from an old map. A secure attachment isn't about being perfect or never having arguments. It's about feeling safe enough to be vulnerable, to communicate your needs, and to trust that your partner will be there for you. The insecure styles, on the other hand, are maps of your past pain, not blueprints for your future love. When you finally identify your style, you can take a step back and say, "Okay, this is how I've been operating. I'm not perfect, but I'm willing to learn a new way." You can start to rewrite the pattern. Instead of reacting from a place of fear, you can learn to respond with intention. Instead of fleeing intimacy, you can practice staying and connecting, even when it feels uncomfortable. It's about building new neural pathways, one conscious choice at a time. This brings us to our third and final truth. The relationship you attract will almost always mirror your attachment style. Your partner often reflects your own attachment habits. In other words, you attract what you know. If you're anxiously attached, you'll often find yourself drawn to avoidant partners who trigger your fear of abandonment. If you're avoidant, you'll likely attract anxious partners whose need for closeness feels overwhelming. And if you have a disorganized style, you might find yourself in chaotic, unpredictable relationships. It's a self-perpetuating cycle. So, what's the fix? How do you break this cycle? You have to change your internal model of love. You have to become the source of safety for yourself. You practice being the secure base you never had. This means learning to self-soothe, validate your own feelings, and build a strong sense of self-worth that isn't dependent on someone else's approval. When you start to embody that secure energy, you naturally begin to attract someone who is also safe, stable, and emotionally available. When you change your attachment style, you don't just change partners, you change your entire relationship world. The quality of your friendships improves, your connection with your family can deepen, and most importantly, your relationship with yourself transforms. Because when you finally stop repeating the same painful loop, you open the door to a completely different kind of love, a love that is secure, fulfilling, and built to last. If this truth landed for you, if you felt a spark of recognition, it means you're ready to break the loop. Subscribe to the channel for more real talk about self-worth, emotional patterns, and how to build a love that truly lasts. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which attachment style do you think you've been using? Because just naming the pattern is the powerful first step to rewriting your story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.